The Rock was in the middle of a business meeting when a rude police officer suddenly came into his office. The officer shouted and pushed him, then slapped handcuffs on him like he was a bad guy. He didn't ask any questions or explain anything. He was very disrespectful. But the officer didn't know who The Rock really was. When they took The Rock to the police station, the captain saw his face. When the officers looked at his file, they all felt sorry right away. They didn't just arrest any man. They arrested someone very important. Someone they should never have touched. Because when The Rock walked out of that station, he told the truth to everyone. He showed how the police and some leaders were lying. He changed the system. He stopped a big group of bad people who were cheating and lying, even at the highest places. Then, they started to come for his daughter too. That's when everything changed. Subscribe and like the video to see what happens next. The 46th floor of the Legacy Tower in downtown Los Angeles was like a dream. The floor had tall glass windows, shiny marble floors, big black desks, and the best security. Many smart people worked there like clockwork to keep everything running perfectly. At the very top of this building was a special office. It wasn't special because of what was inside, but because of who was inside it. Dwayne Steele, The Rock, sat there. He was the boss of a big company called Titan Holdings. He was also a famous actor, helped many people, and was known all around the world. But in this office, he was just the boss. Calm, strong, and focused. He wore a nice dark suit with the top button open and his sleeves rolled up. The Rock stood behind a glass desk with 6 big screens showing live numbers from his charity projects, buildings he was working on, and energy plans. His assistant, Jamie, stood nearby reading the day's schedule. After your call with the school board in Atlanta, you have a Zoom meeting with investors from Singapore, Jamie said. Then a walkthrough at the gym site at 3, and a call with the Veteran Scholarship Foundation at 6. The Rock didn't look up. Push the walkthrough to tomorrow, he said. They're still working on the foundation, right? Jamie nodded. Yes, they said another day. Good. I want to see it when it's all clean, not messy. Jamie marked it off her list. Got it. Anything else? She hesitated. Yes, your daughter's school sent over a video from the talent show. Want me to put it on your tablet? The Rock finally smiled and looked up. Yes, send it to my personal folder. I'll watch it tonight. 10:42 a.m. Lobby of Titan Holdings headquarters. Downstairs, the elevator dinged, and a man stepped out. But he didn't belong there. Detective Elias Ward from the LAPD, late 40s, walked in. He was stiff and looked very serious. He wasn't wearing a uniform but had a badge on his belt. This gave him some power to walk through the building without anyone stopping him. He walked heavy and slow, like someone who always got what he wanted. He looked around the shiny lobby and didn't like the glass art hanging behind the reception desk. Then he headed straight for the elevators. Sir, the receptionist asked nicely, do you have an appointment? I'm LAPD, Ward said without stopping. I'm going to the top floor. You need clearance. But the elevator doors closed before she could say anything, and he pressed the button for the 46th floor. Security started to hurry, but the elevator was already moving up. 10:44 a.m. executive floor. Jamie's headset buzzed. Security says a man is coming up who didn't check in. The Rock looked up. Who is it? They said LAPD. His eyes got narrow. Before anyone could do anything, the elevator doors opened and Detective Ward walked out, sunglasses on, badge showing. The room went very quiet. Even the typing stopped. Security rushed forward. Sir, you can't be here without permission. I'm here for police business, Ward said. What is this about? Jamie asked, stepping between the cop and the Rock's office. I need to speak with Dwayne Steele, she said. He's in a private meeting. I have to speak with him now, Ward said loudly. Inside the office, The Rock walked out slowly. Are you looking for me? Ward smiled, acting proud. Yeah, you're Dwayne Steele. You're under arrest. The air in the room changed. Everyone stopped moving. Security tried to stop Ward, but he showed his badge again. I don't need a warrant to take someone in for questioning. What's the charge? Jamie asked, stepping forward. Ward didn't answer. He just stared at The Rock. Come with me now. The Rock looked him straight in the eyes. I'm in my office, on my property, with witnesses all around. If you're going to arrest me, you better have a good reason. I don't need your permission. He stepped forward and tried to put the handcuffs on. Security moved to stop him, but The Rock raised his hand to stop them. Let him. 10:47 a.m. The arrest. The sound of the handcuffs clicking around The Rock's wrists shook the whole office like an earthquake. Phones stopped ringing. People started recording with their phones. Jamie called their lawyers. You're going to regret this, she said to Ward. We have cameras all over this floor. Ward just smirked. Fine. Let the world see. He pushed The Rock toward the elevator. Let's go, superstar. 10:49 a.m. Elevator down. Inside the elevator were only Ward and The Rock. It was quiet until The Rock finally spoke. Do you have a problem with me or just with people who look like me? Ward didn't answer at first, then smiled again. I don't like arrogance. People who think money makes them untouchable. The Rock stared at him. You won't like how this ends. Ward leaned closer and said, You're not in a movie. No, The Rock said. This is real life. And you'll see just how real it gets. 10:53 a.m. outside Titan headquarters. When the elevator doors opened, the press was already there. Someone had told them what was happening. Seeing Dwayne Steele in handcuffs made the reporters very excited. Cameras clicked. News people shouted questions. The Rock didn't show fear. He walked calmly with his head held high, ignoring the flashes and questions. Jamie ran out with their top lawyer behind her. Detective Ward, the lawyer said, my name is Randall Leavenworth. I represent Mr. Steele. He has done nothing wrong, and you are breaking his rights. You can tell that at the station, Ward said as he opened the cruiser door. You'll regret this, Leavenworth growled. Ward just smiled again. Not the first time I've heard that today. 10:59 a.m. In the back of the police cruiser, The Rock looked out the window at the crowd that was getting bigger. He wasn't angry or scared. He was thinking hard about what he would do next. He wasn't thinking about Ward or the cameras. He was ready. 11:56 a.m. inside the police station lobby. The station was busy. Officers moved between desks. Phones rang. People sat in chairs, some with handcuffs. The air smelled like sweat, old coffee, and worry. When the back doors opened, 2 officers looked up. They expected to see another small-time criminal. But instead, they saw Dwayne Steele in handcuffs. One officer blinked. No way. Whispers started right away. People stood up and looked. Some grabbed their radios. Central, I need the lieutenant now. 11:57 a.m. Booking begins. Detective Ward walked The Rock into the booking area with a proud walk. He gave the paperwork to the clerk without looking at anyone. Subject here for questioning, he said. The clerk was a young Latina officer named Reyes. She looked up and was surprised. Is this real? She asked. Ward rolled his eyes. Just log him in. Do you have a charge? Reyes asked. Ward's jaw tightened. Obstruction and resisting. We'll write it up, he said. The Rock finally spoke. No charge, no warrant, and now no clue what happens next. Reyes looked uncomfortable. A senior officer stepped forward. Lieutenant Sandra Beale. She had been a cop for 28 years and didn't like nonsense. She walked up with her arms crossed. Detective Ward, she said sharply. Are you crazy? You cuffed Dwayne Steele? You arrested him in his own office without a warrant during a meeting. Ward said nothing. Do you have proof of a crime? He's under investigation, Ward said. We got complaints about his charity money. Do you have proof? No. Do you have a file? Not yet. She stepped closer, her voice like steel. You just gave every lawyer a perfect reason to sue you. Ward got angry. He thinks he's untouchable. No, she snapped. He is protected by the same laws you promised to follow. She pointed to the door. Pray this doesn't blow up in your face. Because if it does, I'm not backing you. No one is. 12:09 p.m. In the holding room. The Rock sat on a bench in a small, locked room. His hands were still cuffed, but the cuffs were now in front of him. A red camera light blinked in the corner. The walls were scratched and gray. The air was stale. But The Rock wasn't worried. He wasn't angry. He was thinking hard. The Rock didn't get where he was by yelling or being mean. He got there by staying calm and smart. He knew this wasn't just pressure. It was the quiet before a very big storm. 12:14 p.m. outside the station. A black SUV drove up fast. Riley jumped out, followed by 3 lawyers and a media team with cameras ready. The news had heard what happened and reporters were running toward the station doors. "Mr. Leavenworth, is it true your client was arrested without a warrant?" "Yes," the lawyer said quickly. "We have videos, witnesses, and security footage that prove there was no reason to arrest him. This is an abuse of power." Inside, Lieutenant Beale got the call. She looked at Ward. He was pale and sweating. "You brought cameras to my door, Elias." He didn't say anything. She picked up the phone. "Get him out of cuffs now." 12:21 p.m. interview room. 2 officers came in and took off The Rock's handcuffs without saying a word. Jamie came in after them. "Sir, we're ready. The cameras are on. Legal is here. Every big TV station is already streaming live." The Rock rolled his wrists and cracked his knuckles. "Good." 12:29 p.m. station press room. They cleared a hallway to make space for a quick press conference. The Rock stood at the microphone. He didn't need to say much because everyone was already watching. "I was arrested today for no reason," he said calmly. "No warrant, no crime, just ego and bad choices." He didn't yell. He just looked into the camera and spoke to everyone watching. "I'm okay. I'm calm. But I'm not done." 12:42 p.m. The storm begins. Detective Ward realized big trouble was coming in the police locker room. Detective Ward looked at his phone. Everyone was talking about it on social media. They had arrested The Rock. His name was the #1 topic all over the world. Many groups who fight for people's rights were saying his name. Reporters were looking into old news about him. The police's special group called Internal Affairs had already sent him an email asking for a formal review. Ward sat down slowly. For the first time, he felt something. Not fear or guilt, but regret. He made a mistake trying to punish a man. It was a mistake the whole world would remember. It was 10:04 p.m. at the LAPD Central Division. The front of the police station looked crazy. Reporters shouted, camera crews tried to get the best pictures, and news helicopters flew above. People were gathering outside, holding signs and shouting. All of them were saying one name over and over. The Rock. They shouted, "No justice, no peace. We stand with Dwayne." Inside, Lieutenant Beale was angry and stressed. She was yelling into the phone. "I need someone to talk to the press right now. And get the Internal Affairs team here as fast as possible. He's not just famous, he's very powerful, and now we gave him a big chance to fight back." She hung up and looked at the Internal Affairs agent who had just walked in. His name was Victor Karen. He was tall, thin, and wearing a sharp gray suit. He opened a leather folder. "Welcome to the mess," she said, pointing at the chaos outside. Karen said, "I have seen worse, but not many times." At 1:17 p.m., in holding room 2, Detective Ward sat alone. He stared at the cold metal table. The room was cold, and his neck was sweaty. He had been asked questions many times before, but this was the first time he was the one being questioned. He did not look up when the door opened. Karen came in, calm and casual. "Detective Ward," he said, pulling out a chair to sit across from him. "You know why I'm here." Ward said nothing. Karen smiled politely. "We are going to go over everything. The timeline, the videos, the sounds. I want you to be honest, because this will not go away." Still no answer from Ward. Karen leaned in a little and said, "You made a mistake, but what matters now is how much you admit." Ward clenched his fists under the table. "I didn't do anything wrong," Karen said. "You went into a company building, took a man without a charge or a warrant, and dragged him in front of the whole city. That man was not a street criminal, Ward. That man was Dwayne Steele." Ward stayed quiet. Karen stared at him, then slowly took out a photo from a file. It showed Ward putting handcuffs on The Rock while Riley, the assistant, was yelling in the background. Then another photo showed reporters outside. Then another showed a social media post with over 2 million likes. The caption said, "He just wanted to build gyms for kids, and they cuffed him like a criminal." Karen folded his hands and said, "You didn't just arrest a man today, Ward. You started something." At 1:38 p.m., at Titan Holdings headquarters, on the 46th floor, Riley was in The Rock's office. She was sorting through videos, press statements, and legal papers. A team of experts for public relations buzzed around her. One said, "He's trending all over the world." Another said, "Public feeling is 92% positive. This is bigger than anything since his Hall of Fame speech." Another added, "Sponsors are already calling. Everyone wants to stand with him. Apple, Nike, 3 senators already spoke." Riley looked at the TV screen. The news conference replayed. The Rock's face was calm and steady, looking right at the camera. She smiled. He did not even raise his voice, but everyone heard him loud and clear. At 2:12 p.m., at the downtown LA courthouse, a civil rights lawyer named Daniel Graves was already filing the first paper to sue the police. Graves was strong and well known for helping people. He didn't care if The Rock was rich or famous. He said to the reporters waiting outside, "What matters is that he was treated unfairly and taken away without a good reason. This is not just about Dwayne Steele. It's about everyone who was treated like they were guilty just because of how they look." His words spread on the internet like fire on dry grass. At 2:34 p.m., in a private office, LAPD Chief Dana Vaughn sat looking at a big board full of red lines, pictures, and notes about the problem. She was a serious black woman with lots of experience and no patience for mistakes. She picked up her phone. "Get me Dwayne Steele's team. I want to meet you today. I will not let one bad cop ruin this department's name more." At 3:10 p.m., back at the station, The Rock sat in a closed meeting room. His hands were free. His suit jacket was folded on a chair. His lawyer, Leavenworth, walked behind him. "The LAPD is already scared. We have full videos, many witnesses, the media, and people on our side. They will want to settle quietly." The Rock said, "I don't want quiet." The lawyer stopped. "What do you mean?" The Rock stood slowly. "I want change. I want Ward off the police force. I want cameras in all the police stations. I want every young black kid who sees that video to know we won't back down." The lawyer looked at him. "They are not ready for that." The Rock smiled a little. Neither was Ward. At 3:44 p.m., in the locker room, Ward sat alone on a bench. His head was in his hands. 2 officers walked past, whispering, "Can you believe he cuffed The Rock? They say the chief will make an example out of him." Ward tried not to hear, but the voices were everywhere. On every screen, in every talk. He had lost control of the story. And the worst part was, he did it to himself. At 4:07 p.m., Lieutenant Beale gave Ward a sealed envelope. It said he was suspended immediately. Internal Affairs was starting a full investigation. "Stay home. Stay quiet. Don't talk to the press." Ward's face lost all color. "This is not over," he whispered. Beale's face was hard. "It's just getting started." At 6:12 p.m., in a private room at LAPD headquarters, the room was cold and quiet. The walls were plain, with a single round table and a pitcher of water no one touched. Dwayne Steele sat on one side with his lawyer Leavenworth and Riley, who was more than just an assistant now. On the other side sat Chief Dana Vaughn. Her uniform was neat, and her eyes were strong. She folded her hands. "Mr. Steele, first let me say I watched the video. Every frame. And let me be clear, I am embarrassed and angry. I owe you an apology." The Rock did not say anything. She continued, "That man Ward did not follow the rules or the values this department is supposed to have. I already signed off on his suspension and asked for charges to be filed. But I know that's not enough." Still, The Rock said nothing. Vaughn leaned forward. "What do you want?" At 6:15 p.m., The Rock looked her in the eyes. "I don't want a press release or a quick apology. I don't want this to be swept away like a story to fix. I want real change. She nodded slowly. He opened a folder Riley had put on the table and slid it forward. Inside was a list. Mandatory training on how to calm down situations. New rules for arrests. Body cameras on all detainments. A new oversight board with people from the communities who are often ignored. I want this done in a year, The Rock said. The chief raised her eyebrows. This is big. It needs to be. She nodded again. I'll take this to the mayor. No, The Rock said. You'll take it to the public. At 7:21 p.m., at a press conference outside LAPD headquarters, spotlights cut through the dark. The Rock walked onto a small stage. Many microphones waited. Hundreds of people were there. Thousands more watched from home. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. This is not just about me, he said. This is about what happens when we stop paying attention. I was arrested because someone thought I was a threat. But the real threat was me being calm, strong, and standing my ground. He raised the paper. These are my terms. I will not accept silence from this department, this city, or anyone. At 8:03 p.m., all over the country, the video spread. Millions watched and shared it. Hashtags grew. People started saying, "Justice with The Rock." This was not just a story, it was a call for change. Community leaders, celebrities, veterans, teachers, students all spoke up. Donations to help youth justice groups tripled in 24 hours. For the first time in a long time, people felt someone was pushing for real change with power. Meanwhile, in Ward's apartment, Elias Ward sat alone in a dark room. The TV's glow made shadows on his face as he watched the news replay. The words hit him hard. The tweets, the headlines, the chants outside the station. He turned off the TV. Silence fell. Then bang. He slammed his fist against the wall. Again and again, until his knuckles bled. At 10:12 p.m., back at Titan Holdings headquarters, The Rock finally let out a long breath. It had been a day like no other. He took off his jacket and loosened his collar. He looked out over the city. Riley came in with her tablet. You have messages from Oprah, Michelle Obama, and 3 senators. I'll answer tomorrow, he said. Also, our old high school coach texted you. The Rock smiled. What did he say? She gave him the phone. The message read, I knew you were going to knock the world out someday. Just didn't think it would be with your voice. The Rock looked at the message for a long time, then looked out the window again. The city below didn't seem so loud anymore. It looked like something he could change. At 9:12 a.m., 2 days later, somewhere in California, a black SUV pulled into a private parking garage under a government building. The driver wore a plain gray suit and no ID badge. The man in the passenger seat held a manila folder marked, Internal Do Not Copy. Inside were photos showing The Rock stepping off the press stage, his list of policy demands, and a sticky note that said, if this keeps growing, we lose control. Shut it down. At 10:04 a.m., at Ward's apartment, Elias Ward hadn't slept. His phone kept ringing all morning. Unknown numbers, reporters, old friends, all asking if the rumors were true. He ignored them. He looked at his badge on the kitchen counter. It no longer felt like armor. It felt like evidence. Then there was a knock. Not loud, not rushed, deliberate. He opened the door. 2 men were standing there wearing suits. No names. Detective Ward asked. He nodded. We want to talk somewhere quiet. It was 10:41 a.m. at a small cafe downtown in Los Angeles. The 2 men sat across from Ward in a quiet corner booth. One of them put a manila folder on the table. We're not here to punish you, the man said. We're here because something is happening, and people are scared. Ward squinted and asked, Scared of what? The other man leaned in closer. Scared of what comes next. Of whom this man might inspire. The list you gave the chief, the first man said. It's already with 5 city councils. He is moving very fast. And you are the reason it started. Ward swallowed hard. You want me to stop him? No, the man said. We want you to tell us everything. What he said, how he acted, who else was involved. Ward stared at them for a moment. Then the first man smiled just a little. Then we will make sure this ends quietly. Meanwhile, at Titan Holdings HQ, a tall man called The Rock stood in front of his team. A big screen showed numbers and charts with lots of information. Riley, one of his helpers, pointed to the numbers. You got 10 million new followers in 2 days. Donations to community health projects went up 300%. The press is still talking about you. The Rock looked at the screen carefully. I don't care about the numbers. I care about keeping the energy going. We have to keep pushing. Riley nodded and then showed him an email marked confidential. An anonymous tip said, "You're being watched. Not just by the press, but by people connected to the government." The Rock raised an eyebrow. Is it true? We are trying to check, Riley said. But the message says, be careful who smiles at you in public. They are building something in private. At 3:17 p.m., city leaders met behind closed doors with lots of security. They talked about whether they should support The Rock's new ideas for change. Some leaders liked the idea, but others didn't. It's too fast, one said. He's not a politician. He's too loud. An older, pale-faced man whispered, he's bringing people together, something we've spent years trying to stop. The room got very quiet after that. At 4:41 p.m., The Rock was in his home gym. Sweat dripped down his face as he hit a heavy punching bag. He wasn't training for a fight. He was staying sharp and focused. Riley came in slowly. There's more, she said. One of the men who talked to Ward works for a private security company with secret government contracts. The Rock wiped his face with a towel. They want this to go away. They don't want change, Riley said. They want silence. He looked at her, calm and strong. Then we make noise. At 7:03 a.m., The Rock's phone buzzed. The news headlines were already popping up. Dwayne Steele's charity is being investigated. An anonymous source said his foundation was doing bad things with money. The Rock stood in his kitchen, reading the screen. The sun wasn't even up yet. Someone had worked hard to make this happen. The headline wasn't just loud, it was planned carefully to hurt him. Riley called from the living room, already dressed. Don't open Twitter. I already did, he said. Then you know. He nodded slowly, pouring his coffee. Yeah, I know. At 7:18 a.m., live on cable news, a political expert sat with a fake smile. I'm not saying Dwayne Steele did something wrong, he said, but these are serious accusations. If they are true, his trust is gone. Another person said, right, maybe his whole justice movement was a distraction. Where is the proof? A third asked, if his foundation is clean, why haven't they shown their records? Behind the scenes, the producer watched the teleprompter and smiled. Ratings were going up. At 8:02 a.m., Titan Holdings' war room was busy. Who leaked this? The Rock asked his finance lead, Camila. She shook her head. The investigation they mentioned doesn't exist. No audit. No IRS request. It's fake. Riley threw a flash drive on the table. This was sent to 5 journalists. The same file, fake bank screenshots, wrong statements, a fake letter from the Attorney General. The room went quiet. The Rock stood up. Get Graves. At 9:11 a.m., Attorney Daniel Graves barely stepped into his office when he got a call. You're being set up, Riley said to the speaker. I know, Graves said. I've seen the headlines. They used old statements, changed numbers. We need to fight back. Graves didn't hesitate. Press conference at noon at my office. I'll call all my allies. If they want a war, we'll shine a light. At 10:43 a.m., a whistleblower email arrived at The Rock's media inbox. It was anonymous. They were scared. They said if The Rock's new plan passed, some departments would lose money and power. The leak came from inside the LAPD, from a company connected to Ward's old partners. If you expose it, protect the source, the email said. Attached were fake documents, internal memos, and audio recordings of a call about how to stop The Rock. At 12:01 p.m., Graves' press conference began. Many reporters crowded around the podium. Graves stood with Riley, Camila, and a money expert. This morning, some news ran a false story. No proof, no facts, just fear, Graves said. He held up a folder. Inside is proof of who made the fake papers, who sent the leaks, and who wanted to silence this man. The cameras clicked. Then The Rock stepped forward. You don't scare me. I've faced bigger men in tighter places. This is not about money sheets. It's about power. If you thought this would stop me, you should have hit harder. At 1:32 p.m., the attack backfired. The public exploded with support. People said it was a setup. Celebrities shared the whistleblower email. Donations to the Rock's Foundation doubled. Even some city officials said the attack was wrong. Far away, in a government office, a man in a gray suit watched the news quietly. He clenched his jaw. Plan B, he whispered. At 2:08 a.m., in Pacific Palisades, California, the street was quiet. The full moon gave pale light over the trees. The air was still except for a small humming drone flying over the rooftops. At the end of a quiet cul-de-sac, inside a gated property, everything looked normal. Until it wasn't. A white van with no license plates slowly drove past the gate. It stopped at the edge of the property. Inside the van were three men, all dressed in black tactical gear. They had communication earpieces. The driver looked at a tablet showing the house's security system. There were two heat signals upstairs, both asleep. Copy. Entry in 90 seconds. They didn't notice a second drone flying overhead. But someone else did. Inside the house, a young girl woke up. She was 9 years old with brown eyes and a strong chin. She looked just like her father. At 2:11 a.m., in the Titan Holding Security Center downtown, a tech leaned into his headset. Sir, we have something unusual. The Rock had asked for 24-hour watch over all family homes after the leak. The moment the unregistered van showed up outside his daughter's safe house, the alarm went off. The Rock was already standing in the control room when the alert flashed. Wake the team. Now. At 2:14 a.m., the men moved fast. They cut the power to the gate and turned off the backup fuse. They had less than 3 minutes before the emergency generator turned on. They used a jammer to block outgoing signals. But they didn't know the house had a special hardline connection straight to the city's power grid. They broke in quietly, moving like ghosts up the stairs. At 2:15 a.m., upstairs, Arya Steele was already awake. She heard the stairs creak and did what her father taught her. She rolled out of bed quietly and grabbed the panic button under her desk. But the jammer blocked the signal. So she grabbed the second thing her father gave her, a heavy steel flashlight from his gym. She didn't cry or scream. She crouched behind the closet door and waited. At 2:16 a.m., in the surveillance van outside Titan HQ, The Rock watched everything live. Infrared drone feeds, floor plans, motion sensors. He didn't blink. How long until the Bravo team gets there? He asked. 2 minutes, the security chief said. That's not fast enough. He grabbed a tactical vest from the wall. Riley said, Don't go. But he was already heading to the elevator. At 2:17 a.m., inside the house, the first man crept into the bedroom. It was empty. He clicked his comm. No answer. The jammer was blocking them too now. He turned to leave, and that's when Arya struck. She hit him hard on the side of the knee. The man dropped with a yell. Arya ran down the stairs, out the front door. That's when the security team arrived. SUVs screeched to a stop. Men in black rushed out with guns ready. In the middle of it all, The Rock stepped out of the lead vehicle. Arya ran straight into his arms. He didn't say anything. He just held her. Then he looked at the house. His face changed from angry to cold as ice. At 2:26 a.m., the attackers were captured, tied up, and face down in the driveway. One had a broken leg. Another had a hurt shoulder from trying to climb the back fence. All three refused to talk. The Rock walked slowly to the third man, the one with a scar on his face. He asked softly, "Who sent you?" The man spat blood. "I don't answer to the actors." The Rock stared for a long moment. Then he stood up and walked away. "Let the FBI take them," he said. At 2:41 a.m., in the SUV, Arya sat next to her father, holding his hand tight. "I hit him like you said," she said. The Rock looked down at her. "You did perfectly, baby girl." She leaned on his shoulder. "I wasn't scared." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Neither am I. At 3:13 a.m., at the FBI office downtown, the three intruders were booked. No names. No fingerprints. But one of their burner phones had one text message left. Target. The girl. He'll fold. They didn't know who they were dealing with. At 4 a.m., The Rock stood in an emergency press conference. His voice was calm but strong. Tonight, someone tried to enter my daughter's house, he said. They thought threatening my family would stop me. They were wrong. He held up the recovered burner phone. We know this wasn't random. There is a network. Now, the world will see it too. He paused. I'm not stepping down. I'm stepping forward. The gloves are off. At 5:12 a.m., in the FBI command center in Los Angeles, the war room was full of screens showing satellite feeds, phone records, and email traces. In the middle of it all stood The Rock, surrounded by a federal task force and his private security chief. His daughter was safe. His team was ready. Now I'm done reacting, he said. Start from the top. Agent Nora pointed at the screen. We traced the burner phone to a fake company in Nevada. The van was registered to a non-profit shell company tied to a defense contractor. That company worked with the LAPD from 2017 to 2020. The Rock clenched his jaw. Someone is using city channels to hunt me, he said. Nora nodded. Or to protect the ones who are. Meanwhile, in a government office in Sacramento, a man in a shiny gray suit watched the news clip about The Rock on mute. His office was too clean, too perfect. Behind him were pictures of himself. That's where the story ends for now. Smiling with some very important people. Governors, senators, and retired army generals. The Rock held a remote and watched a video of his own speech. He watched his face on the screen again. He looked calm and powerful. But The Rock didn't like what he saw. He picked up his phone. They're digging, he said. There was a pause. Not the police. Steele. He's using the bureau. We need to stop this now. Another pause. Then go after the people helping him. Take away his power. 8:42 a.m. Titan Holdings headquarters. Riley ran into The Rock's office. She was out of breath. We've got a problem, she said. The Rock looked up from his papers. Another one? It's Graves. He disappeared. What do you mean disappeared? His office said he went to a meeting but never got there. No calls. No phone signal. The Rock stood up fast. Where did his phone last ping? Riley held up her tablet. Near that warehouse you helped get rezoned. The Rock looked at the map, then turned to his security chief. Send a team. Quietly. I'm going. 9:28 a.m. Warehouse 42B. The building looked empty and broken. Old signs. Shattered windows. But Graves' car was in the alley, and it was still warm. The Rock and his team went inside, holding their weapons. They found Graves. He was hurt, tied up, and gagged in a dark room. When they freed him, Graves said, "They know everything. Every file, every plan. Someone inside the bureau is telling them things." 11:03 a.m. FBI internal meeting. Agent Nora was pacing nervously. "We have a leak," he told the director. "Someone told them about our plans. They knew Graves' schedule. They knew the girl was alone. Someone is spying from inside." The director leaned back. "Then find them. All of them." 1:32 p.m. Digital offensive begins. Now that Graves was safe and the FBI was ready, The Rock made his next move. He made a website and shared everything. Names, companies, fake businesses, secret emails, videos, and audio. Everyone was shocked. Headlines exploded. Steele starts the truth war. He's showing what real justice looks like. He's exposing the secret network. 2:04 p.m. All across the country. Mayors were questioned. Judges quit quietly. Police officers and lawyers were scared. People never thought The Rock, a man famous for action movies, would change the system with truth. But that's what he was doing. 5:11 p.m. Titan HQ balcony. The sun was setting. The Rock stood looking at the city. Riley came beside him. "They're scared," she said. "So am I," he said. "But not of them. I'm scared of stopping here." "What do you want to do?" she asked. He looked at the city. "Go further." 7:32 a.m. Washington, D.C. News cameras were everywhere. The media had waited 2 days. And finally, The Rock walked into the Capitol building in a gray suit. No tie. Calm face. Even the senators whispered, "He actually came. And he brought files. Is he going to name names?" 8:11 a.m. Closed Senate hearing. The microphone clicked on. "Mr. Steele, you may begin." The Rock stood. No notes. Just his voice. "Thank you," he said. "I'm not here to perform. I'm here because powerful people tried to hurt me and my family. They tried to silence the people helping me." He placed a hard drive on the table. "This has emails, money transfers, videos. It names people in government and law enforcement who were all part of it." A senator asked, "Are you saying someone in this room did this?" The Rock said, "I'm saying someone in this building sent men to scare my daughter." Silence. Cameras clicked. The fight had just entered the Capitol. 9:32 a.m. Breaking news. The Rock speaks before the Senate. Steele shows a huge government scandal. Call for justice goes viral. Late-night TV shows, news reports, and social media all blew up with the news. Some people on the hard drive ran away. One flew to Dubai. Another left a mountain home. They knew the walls were falling. 10:21 a.m. Back in L.A. Riley stared at the monitors at Titan HQ. A red alert flashed. "Sir," she called, "we've got another attack. This one's digital. Someone's trying to break into our systems." "Where from?" The Rock asked. "Looks like it's coming through a satellite. Military-level stuff." "Shut it down," he said, "and call Graves on a safe line." But before she could, the screens turned black. A message appeared. "We warned you. Stop now, or she's next." Then an image. Arya, his daughter, walking into school. 10:24 a.m. Titan Panic Protocol. The Rock was already moving. "Get Arya out now. Use a blackout route. Level 6 security." Riley made the call. The Rock turned to his team. "Find out who sent that. Now it's personal." Unknown dark room. A man watched The Rock Senate speech on 5 screens. "He moved fast," the man said. "We didn't think he could." Another man nodded. "We won't make that mistake again." He looked at Arya's picture and smiled. 1 p.m. Arya is safe. The security car pulled away from the school just before a strange car arrived. Arya was safe. But The Rock was furious. 3:44 p.m. Emergency Titan meeting. Graves returned. Riley fixed the system. The Rock said, "No more waiting. We go after them." He pointed at a screen full of names. "Expose them. Use the media. Take legal action." "You want to take down billionaires?" Riley asked. "Yes," he said. 5:33 a.m. Live broadcast begins. The screen lit up with The Rock standing in front of a wall of documents. The video went live in 41 countries, with subtitles in 12 languages. "I've been followed, attacked, lied about. But you came for my family. Now I'm done waiting." Behind him, names scrolled. Big CEOs. Spies. People who gave money to hate groups. 3 congressmen. These people tried to use fear to hide the truth. But we'll answer with light. 6:12 a.m. Huge reaction. 1 U.S. senator quit. A private security firm lost billions in stock. 2 big TV networks apologized. The Justice Department started a new task force. On Capitol Hill, someone whispered, "He just did what we were too scared to do." 7:44 a.m. LAPD HQ. Lieutenant Beale watched the broadcast and smiled. "Get me everything on Detective Ward," she said. "But he's already suspended," the officer said. "I said everything." 8:21 a.m. Ward's apartment. Ward looked terrible. Pale. Tired. watching the news. He picked up the phone. "You really want to fix this?" said the voice on the other end. Ward said quietly, "What do I need to do?" If you like this story, tell me in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more fun adventures and mysteries. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.